the CS for Interior, who has been moving around through the Jukwaa la Usalama initiative.
Order, member for Marakwet West, the Honorable Stephen Mule. Is anything out of order? Or you are being strategic? Yes. Okay. Okay, you may summarize.
So, Honorable Speaker, as I summarize, is that this matter falls squarely within the docket of the Minister of Interior, and I wish to appreciate the current CS for Interior. He's been moving around the country through the Jukwaa la Usalama initiative. And when it came to our county, he appreciated the fact that those services are not available. So, Honorable Speaker, we expect a report from him, and when that report comes, identifying the gaps, as a house, we must be very deliberate in allocating resources so that we make this a reality. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Johanna Ngeno, member for Emurua Dikri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm really glad to speak to this particular matter, Madam Speaker, since it is a matter that has been troubling us for quite a length of time. Madam Speaker, many of our residents, of our citizens, in wherever they are, they suffer this particular situation. And especially when the Ministry of Education introduced birth certificates as a compulsory document to use in the registration and in the allocation of, if it is the funds which are allocated to both primary and secondary school, Madam Speaker. They made it compulsory that unless a child has a certificate or a birth certificate, you cannot access those particular services, Madam Speaker. And therefore, this should have been gone, it should have gone in tandem with the compulsory decision that every child must use a birth certificate, and that every child also must be made easier to access that birth certificate. But when you look at the situation we are having currently, Madam Speaker, people have to travel over 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers. People have to use over 5,000 to 10,000 shillings to access these particular certificates, Madam Speaker. And yet it has been made compulsory in registration. So I think at that particular point when the Ministry of Education was making it compulsory, should have also made it accessible to all the kids just around those areas. And in fact, the idea of Mheshimiwa Wangari to bring it even to the sub-county level, that one should have been done previously by the ministry. So that now we should be discussing of even devolving it more to the ward level. Because, Madam Speaker, these are services that are supposed to be given by the government to the people of this republic. Just like the national identity card. They should have, in fact, the national identity card is not even more, although it is being used severally, but you see, that one comes only when you are 18 years. And that is when you will have the capacity to even look for it. But for the birth certificate, this is a certificate for a small kid, probably on birth. So this should have come even up to the ward level so that people can access it. Madam Speaker, however, I'm excited with this amendment, and I believe that it's going to go through because this is something which has made our people suffer, spend a lot of money, and made most of the kids, like when you go to some schools, Madam Speaker, most of the kids do not access the capitation. I think they call it capitation or something like that, because they do not have the birth certificates. Madam Speaker, I'm one of those people also who suffer. In my constituency, Emurua Dikri, we do not have births and death certificate registration office. And I don't know, I would have wished the chair was around, because I have fought for that particular office for, I don't know, around 3 to 4 years, trying to work on it. I've even leased an office, Madam Speaker, paid rent for something like 1 year, painted it, even painted the births and deaths, just to look like an office. I've even bought computers. I've bought, furniture to that office. But it is still lying idle. I have kept on calling these people that These are surfaces you people should be looking for us to ask us, where can I put this office? Not the other way around, not members asking you, we really want an office. So, Madam Speaker, I think this is a wake-up call to the Interior Department, and I would wish the peers concerned to really take these matters seriously, implement it immediately upon the passage of this House. We don't want this thing to wait. We have been appropriating funds here, Madam Speaker, towards the same. So we want it acted upon as fast as possible so that our people should not be traveling long distance. Mine are traveling as far as Kilgoris, which is around 50, 60 kilometers, and it's very expensive. And sometimes when there are issues along the borders, Madam Speaker, our people just stay at home, they cannot access it. Lastly, Madam Speaker, as on the question of UPS, I don't know, the UPI, the minister was talking about it yesterday. I'm a little bit skeptical, Madam Speaker, because I normally read the Bible in tandem with our Constitution, and the Bible tells us there will be a number that will be branded on each and every face, number 666, which will be. So I'm a little bit skeptical on that UPI stuff, Madam Speaker. I thank you, and I support the amendment in totality.
Religious matters. Now that you have talked about religious matters, I'd like to give this opportunity to the Honorable Naomi Wako. Actually, I have been trying to check whether you have inserted your card, member for Catherine. Yes, it's there. The Honorable member for Busia is the one that I'm doubting. You may proceed, Honorable Naomi Wako.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this very important debate on the Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Bill 2024. And also thank Honorable Martha Wangari for coming up with this. Honorable Speaker, if there is any amendment we need now, it is this in this country. And thank you, Mheshimiwa, for looking, ahead and for being ahead of us and being concerned with the future generation, because this bill will assist a lot our young people. Honorable Speaker, I come from one of the largest counties. My county is the second largest. And the farthest from the headquarters is like 300 or 400 kilometers away. And normally, people travel to the headquarters to get their birth certificate. And especially now that the government has said that the birth certificates is a requirement to all primary school children admission, and it is a must for every child to have their birth certificate as they register or as they enroll in primary school. Honorable Speaker, some of us during our time, the only thing we did was to just hold our ears and show people that at least we are of age. And they used to check us and confirm that we are citizens, and especially those of us who come from the border. Now we are beyond that, and birth certificate is a serious requirement. And also as they register, it helps even the education ministry to have the data, what we call the NEMIS, to identify, to have the data, and also track every student, and also in allocation of funds to schools. So it is a very serious requirement, and most of the schools in northern Kenya today are not even getting the funds because some students don't have the birth certificate. So what do we need to do as a government? Honorable Speaker, the best is to make sure that we bring the service closer to the people. And we have the DCC offices. Honorable Martha has suggested that in every constituency we have, because we have 290 constituencies, and we have 143 only under this office of birth and death certificate. So if we can even go further and make sure that anywhere we have a DCC, we have that office, we make sure that birth and death certificate is there. Or even as people go to the hospitals, although I know in my place, some people don't even deliver in hospitals, we make sure, even as we just give the notification that a child has been born and all these other things, we make sure that the birth certificates for all the people who are around there will be issued as soon as possible. Honorable Speaker, this is something that we need to pass as quickly as possible so that that service can be brought closer to every citizen, so that our young going children to school, our children who are going to school will benefit. Honorable Speaker, again, when we talk about birth certificates, it is 61 years since we got independence. And people like those people who come from Marsabit, they travel for, as I said, over 300 kilometers to get their birth certificate. And we cannot continue that way. And that is why I suggest that we make sure that the service is brought close to the people, that we empower people. The only thing that we need is to have enough personnel, Honorable Speaker. When we have enough personnel, we can even have what we call mobile registration centers that, you know, even if it is under a tree, the staff can move there, the class can move there, and just say that today we are in this village under this tree and issuing birth certificates, and make sure that especially before the children join primary schools in January, we have like mass registration so that nobody suffers. Nobody suffers, because currently many students are in school and they don't have birth certificate, and even immediately we can make sure, we can just say that we want all the students in any school or primary school, registrations can take place there for any child who does not have any birth certificate, because that can help. Because I know, like in my place, there are students in classes who do not have their birth certificate. So we can say, let us make sure as a government that we have mass registrations in all the schools to make sure that every child is having his or her birth certificate, and then we come up with the idea of bringing it closer to the people, and we do that as soon as possible. And every December, November, December, we have mass registration to cover those people who come from far areas and remote areas. Thank you, and with those few remarks, I support and I congratulate Honorable Martha.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, member for Kitui Central.
Wow. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by thanking Honorable Wangari, Martha Wangari, for this important bill, and more so thank the people of Gilgil for bringing her back to this house. Because, Honorable Speaker, this bill was actually moved in the 12th Parliament, but because of the time it takes to process a bill, it expired with the 12th Parliament, and you can see it has taken about 3 years for us to find this day being debated, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, we have a reason to thank the people of Gilgil for bringing Mother back to this house so that she could actually continue this bill and see it up to the end, becoming an act of Parliament. I want to associate myself with those who are saying that it's important that we get these offices in the sub-counties, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you realize that the first certificate you get, even before you've gone to any school, just a minute after you are born, is a birth certificate. And then after you get that one, you'll be able to acquire other certificates as you leave. And then the final certificate you get is a birth certificate. A death one, when you die, Honorable Speaker. Which means this bill is very important because it opens the doors for Kenyans to get the first certificate,
Honorable Makali, on a light touch.
and get
The last one, the last certificate.
yeah, the last one.
Maybe other people get it for you.
I mean, but it is yours. It is written. It is on your name, so it is still yours. Even though the people use it to do other things, but it's still on your name. And that's why these certificates are very important, Honorable Speaker, because you realize that, for example, it is not mandatory that for you to register for most of the exams, starting the first one, you sit as a child, you must have this document. So, which means really, parents have to go out of their way, Honorable Speaker, to get this document. And as members have said, some of our parents are going very, very long distances to access this document. In other areas, they travel today, get to the office, even find the register is not there, and they go back to their homes, and they have to come tomorrow or the other week. At times, they go to some of these offices and find very arrogant officers who don't even serve them. And they are forced by circumstances also to come back another day. So, Honorable Speaker, when I see an effort being made to have these offices near where we live, it is a step in the right direction, Honorable Speaker. And that's why we really want to appreciate and say that. I think the challenge has always been that we are very good at creating offices, but we don't make them operational. You have heard the chairman, Committee on Administration and National Security, saying we have over 400 administrative offices, and the only operational ones are 200 and something, Honorable Speaker. Meaning these offices are there, but they don't exist in terms of either office blocks or having an officer managing the office. So in that case, Honorable Speaker, we still have a challenge, because even if we pass this bill to become an act of parliament, I can tell you for sure, we are going to take a bit of time before we make these offices operational. So I think as a house, since we have the mandate to make budgets, it is important when we are doing the next budget, and I believe by then we'll have this been an act of parliament, we make necessary provisions in the budget so that these offices can become operational. In that case, we'll be helping Kenyans. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, where I come from and where you come from yourself, you know what our people go through to access this important document. When it comes to the death certificate, Honorable Speaker, we know most of the issues, land issues our people are struggling with, is because somebody passed on, they don't have a death certificate. Somebody passed on, they have not processed the letter of administration. And I can tell you for sure, because anytime I sit in my office, I see very old ladies coming to my office saying, Mheshimiwa, you know, I don't have the death certificate for my husband. On the basis of that, I'm not able to divide the land to my children. And this becomes a big problem to families. So the earlier we get this act becoming an act of parliament, the earlier we get these offices being near our people, the better for service delivery. And I think the government must come out strongly and support this move to have these offices. And not only these offices, we must appreciate, Honorable Speaker, the issue of the Huduma centers has really helped most of the areas. But you realize Huduma centers, most of them are still at the county headquarters. They are not found in the interior parts of the counties. On that note, still the same problem again comes up, that people have to travel long distances to access these documents. And more so where the students have finished school or they want to register, you find a lot of congestion in these offices. You find parents are forced at times to even sleep around there to get this document, otherwise they'll be locked out or out of registration for their children. And I think really, Honorable Speaker, then, as a house, then, Honorable Speaker, this bill becomes very important. As I conclude, I've heard the chairman of the committee talk about what he's calling the unique personal identification, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I really want this house to take this matter very serious, Honorable Speaker. Because, Honorable Speaker, if my memory serves me well, this is the third attempt. We are trying to have this unique identifier. Honorable Speaker, you must have heard something called Anglo leasing scandal. That scandal was one of the attempts to give Kenyans and a unique identifier. Then we came, the Oduma card, Honorable Speaker, which was done when we were in this house with you. And then just about a year ago, we had another card coming. And we've realized that all these attempts, Honorable Speaker, are attempts for people to use public resources for their own private benefit. We are benefiting private companies in an attempt to give this unique identifier, Honorable Speaker. So I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, the chairman, Committee on Administration and National Security, should assure this House that this further attempt will give us a unique identifier and not the stories we have had in the past, which come every 2 years. People get their card, they put it in the pocket, and they introduce it again. Otherwise, we should be able to say no to this process, because the outcome of that process is very important to the country, Honorable Speaker. It doesn't make sense, Honorable Speaker. If I get to your debate now, I'll find so many cards there, and all those cards are talking about, Honorable Speaker, other than just having one card which you can use for share, which you can use for your bank, which you can use for everything. Just one card. But because we don't want to get it right, Honorable Speaker, we keep on going round, round, and round. So, Honorable Speaker, I thought it's important I say that, because we've said it many times, Honorable Speaker, that the issue of corruption in this country is a very, very serious matter. And I'm very happy, Honorable Speaker, yesterday I saw our President saying that members in this House, committees of this House, Honorable Speaker, although it was a very general statement, that committees of this House are demanding money from the executive. How I wish, Honorable Speaker, because our President has access to National Intelligence Service and he has National Intelligence information. How I wish he mentioned names and said, Honorable so and so, who is my chair of this committee, demands this money, and on the basis of that, he should be changed and we get a new chairman, Honorable Speaker. In that case, we will be helping to fight corruption in this country. But when we get this general statement, Honorable Speaker, I think we are doing a disservice to this beautiful country which God has given us. But I think, Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether it is in order for us at some point to get time to discuss this important motion, the motion that members of Parliament are actually being bribed to change committee reports. How I wish you had time, and that becomes a motion of this House so that we can debate it for 2 or 3 hours and put things straight as they are. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Catherine Omanyo, member for Busia County. And I would like to request Secretariat or the Clerk's office to check on the cards on this side.
Yeah,
I believe they are not working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially for Catherine Omanyo, I mean, we had, the table had to ask her whether she's waiting to speak.
Yeah.
So I would like to apologize, but
you.
please continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am in support of this motion because devolution came for a reason. We have to move all the services near our people, because looking at how our infrastructure is and how our families right in the remote areas are, it is best that we put most of the public offices very close to our people. Just recently, one of the youths that got a job to go abroad, who had no birth certificate, had to travel, and before traveling, he had to ask for fare from their village to go all the way to town. Only after filling the e-citizen questionnaire, they are sending that young man from Busia to Kisumu to get immigration offices there for other services like getting his fingerprints, because he was looking to get the passport. We applaud devolution, but then is it really with us? Very few services have come to the people. We need these Huduma centers that are right in the county towns. We need them to have sub-branches into the sub-counties so that people should not be traveling very far from their remote villages to get such services. Even birth certificates and let's say essential ones like death certificates as well, they should not travel so far to get these essential services. Devolution, if we don't do this, it will die with time, because people get worn out and they don't see the need, or they don't see the advantage of such a good idea that came to us at the right time. So I really want even these Huduma centers, where in fact we used to have post offices nearer people, but somebody packed them up again and took the post offices very far where Huduma centers are situated. So can we, with time, rivet in this noble idea that devolution came at the right time, but we have not actually done enough to make our people own it and encourage more services moved closer to them. So, Madam Speaker, I just wanted to say that, and I thank you.
Very much, Member for Busia. The Honorable Stephen Mule, Member for Matungulu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, I want to congratulate my sister, Honorable Mother Ongari. I know it has been long overdue for us waiting for this bill to come to this House. It is a very important bill, Madam Speaker, for simple reason. We have been in this House for a fair time now, Madam Speaker, with you. And you know very well how we have struggled as members of Parliament from across the divide to make sure that we have these registrars' offices in the constituency. And I think, Madam Speaker, for once, we are doing the right thing as a House, whereby we will not leave it to the CS to destinate these officers to our constituency. Madam Speaker, I feel pain when such a service becomes illusion to some of Kenyans at this time and era after 54 years of independence. Madam Speaker, it pains parents to look for this document, especially the birth certificate. And I want to look at a county like Machakos, whereby we have Huduma centers in a few constituencies, and the other constituencies have to wait for officers. Madam Speaker, sometimes I have to hire vehicles for the officers to ferry them from Machakos to Matungulu constituency for a week. And at the end of the day, these officers, you have to buy them lunch, you have to provide transport. So it's a high time this service is taken to the people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it also pains when we know the amount of money spent by the uniqueness of people hiding behind the identifying number. Madam Speaker, we were with you in this House, whereby every Kenyan registered for Huduma number, for Huduma card. Where did that data go? Madam Speaker, as we speak right now, a country like Rwanda, only one document of identification, which carries all the information of the citizen, which eventually we are being told they are transforming that one unique card to be their passport, Madam Speaker. It is important, Madam Speaker, as Kenya, we see how best we integrate all the information of every citizen in one document, Madam Speaker, to make sure that Kenyans don't spend more money, don't spend a lot of time looking for this document. As in my constituency, parents need to use the MCAs to make sure that when they go to Machakos, they come back with their birth certificate. It is unfair, Madam Speaker, and I think it's the high time the government of the day and this House, we do the right thing. And the right thing is to make sure that we get this amendment fast-tracked. And I want to request you, Madam Speaker, to speak to the Honorable Speaker of this House so that this bill does not elapse like the other one, so that the House looks at the importance of this bill and be fast-tracked to make sure that it sees the light of the day, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, having been a democratic country, it makes no sense whereby we are just thumping of devolution, yet the services are not devolved. Madam Speaker, the only thing which I know in Kenya is devolved and it works is CDF. And Madam Speaker, if we as members of Parliament agree with Honorable Mother Wangari, we must make sure that these offices are tied to the constituency offices and the sub-county offices, so that each and every Kenyan will be able to access this document without fail. And I say, Madam Speaker, because the President yesterday made the allegation, which it is paining to all of us. It is high time he gets his drag out, shred this issue of corruption completely, and let the executive identify those who go to them to ask for that bribe. Because, Madam Speaker, it is paining when your constituency is calling you and is telling you, we send there to be our representative, yet you go to ask for bribes. Madam Speaker, this afternoon I've heard also something else which is very interesting, which probably might kill Senate or devolution in this country. Honorable Raila has put the senators on notice not to call governors to order, Madam Speaker. I will tell you, Madam Speaker, this House must stand for its own right. And as members, we must stand to be counted to protect the august house in this country. Because, Madam Speaker, it's not a matter of a joke whereby allegations are thrown to us as leaders. It paints the image of this house badly.
Honorable Mule, you know, it's a house of debate, you know, and you can do it the best way you know how. Now, you've just mentioned what the Honorable Raila Amolo has said. I'm actually trying to see the relevance to this bill. I would like to ask you, just remain relevant to the bill.
Madam Speaker, I'll remain relevant, and I know.
Because actually, we were in this afternoon, we can tell you for sure, we have been seated this afternoon here, so we are not even aware of what has been said, and it is difficult for me as I sit here to talk about the truthfulness of what you are saying. So I would like to encourage you to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll be encouraged to be truthful of what I've heard. And Madam Speaker, if we are not careful, even there are some people I know they will be ready, this bill not to see the light of the day, so that the unique identifying number comes to play. And that's what I'm saying. Some of the people want to take advantage of this country, and Kenyans who are not aware, Madam Speaker. And we are saying this, Madam Speaker, we are putting it squarely to the CS Interior to make sure that once this amendment is passed, Madam Speaker, each and every sub-county in this country have a birth registrar, at the same time have a death registrar. It is a right for every Kenyan. I've heard Honorable Naomi Wako talk about our constituency, our vast constituency of Marsabit. Madam Speaker, we have kids in school who don't have birth certificates. It is unfair. It is uncalled for. And when we say some of the issues we must protect, this is one of the issues. Because to be a Kenyan by birth is a right given to you by your God. It is not a matter of the government of the day. It is the reality. You are a Kenyan, but the government has a responsibility to recognize you without any more pain, Madam Speaker. So we are saying thank you and kudos to Honorable Wangari Mother, so that this bill move with speed, this bill get implemented. And Madam Speaker, as a House, we need also to scrutinize the unique identifying number being talked about. Serious amount of money might be spent. Yet this same ministry does not have money to give us officers to the sub-counties. We want to call it to the minister to make sure that he explained to the House, what is this unique identifying number? And as Honorable Ngeno said, matters of religions, which I don't want to enlarge to, please, as a House, we need to protect Kenyans who have their right by birth and who die dignified in Kenya, to have their death certificate given to the families, to make sure that at least matters of succession and matters of inheritance within the families are done in a fair and in a peaceful manner. I want to support, and I want to tell Honorable Wangari, we'll be seeking some amendments as we go on. I will share with you the amendments we want to bring so that the birth certificate becomes the key document for any Kenyan, and it must be digital, a card whereby each and every Kenyan will be proud of in the future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Mishi Mboko, Member for Likoni and Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, first I want to congratulate my sister, Honorable Martha Wangari, for this very important bill. Madam Speaker, I know this bill just tend to do some amendment in Section 5 of Birth and Death Registration Act, whereby they're going to put a new subsection 1A, whereby the Cabinet Secretary will appoint a certain area and gazette that area so that it can be used for birth and death registration documents. Honorable Speaker, this bill brings services closer to the people. You need to know most of Kenyans cannot access these centers, which we call Huduma Center. I'm looking at Mombasa County, where we only have one center at the CBD of Mombasa. And I'm looking for people or persons coming from all the way from Kisauni, the farthest Mwakirunge, traveling all the way to the CBD of Mombasa County. The people coming from Dongokundu, where my constituency lies, they have to travel across the ferry and reach to the CBD of Mombasa County. Those coming from Changamwe, those coming from Jomvu constituency, which is really very far. You can imagine at Bonje, where it borders Mombasa and Kilifi, and they have to travel all the way to Mombasa County to acquire this document. So it is good that it's going to allow Kenyans to reduce transport costs first, also to use little time to access this document, and it's also ensure that they access this document, which are very important, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you need to know that it is important for our children going to school that they need to have the birth certificate. Without the birth certificate, even registration in school is a challenge. Then we need to do all the ways to ensure that it is accessible. Two, the issue of inheritance. You know, most of the processes, before the inheritance processes are done, you need to have what you call the death certificate. And it is very, very difficult. In fact, most of Kenyans, especially those coming from the rural area, do not even understand that if a relative or a person dies, you need to acquire this document. So when we have an area in the sub-county or in the constituency, it means we can also do some outreach services, whereby maybe within a month or twice in a month, you can do the outreach program. You go to the villages, you sensitize Kenyans, and you allow them to do the application, and later on they can acquire those documents, Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, also this bill will uphold the Constitution and human rights, Madam Speaker. This country is being governed by the rule of law, and our mother law is the Constitution. Madam Speaker, in the Article 6.3 says that all state organs shall ensure reasonable access to services in all parts of the Republic. But what we are seeing right now, it is not true. So many areas, especially the rural setup, do not have centers where they can acquire these services, Honorable Speaker. So it means it's like we are violating this Article 6 6.3 in the Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, also there is a right to legal identity, and that is Article 14. Non-discrimination, that is Article 27. And also children's rights to a name and nationality. Nationality also is about the birth certificate. To be known, to know your name, where you coming from, who was your father, who was your mother, and all those details. So it is very important when we are doing so, having that center at the sub-county level. At least it will ensure even those coming to the villages, maybe they can walk. It's also still a long distance, but at least because it is within the constituency, those from other villages just within that constituency, they can at least walk, they can use boda and reach that center where they can acquire this document. And by doing so, we'll ensure that we are upholding the Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, also the bill improves data for government planning. Nothing is being done without planning, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we need to plan to ensure that the services we are given to Kenyans are adequate, and we cannot ensure the planning if we don't have the data. We need to have the proper data. We need to have proper records of Kenyans so that we can plan in terms of health. How many infrastructure are we supposed to do, both at the national level and at the county level? In terms of security, we need to know how many infrastructure, the services we want to do in terms of security, in terms of agriculture, and so many other services, Madam Speaker. We need to have the data, because if you have the best data, it means you have the best plan, Madam Speaker. Because most of the things you are doing, we are seeing now, and the challenges we are facing, it is because we don't have the best or the correct data. For instance, the death certificates. Death certificate is a big challenge because not all persons who dies, they acquire this certificate. At least for the birth now, Kenyans are empowered somehow because any child taken to school is being asked to have that birth certificate. And it is now that the parents are really trying very hard, even using the members of parliament, using the member of county assemblies to ensure that they acquire these documents. But for the death certificate, it is a big challenge. Most Kenyans, and especially those in the rural setup, they don't know about this. They don't think the importance of this. But when it comes to the inheritance issue, now they see this is very important and we really need to have it. So I want to say, Madam Speaker, this bill is very, very important. And this amendment which has been brought, it is a very good amendment. I've seen that Section 5.1 and Section 5.2 both talks about having that designated gazetted area and also having persons appointed as registrars and deputy registrar. So we will ensure also, because the officers we're having right now, they are very few. You go to Mombasa County, you see queues, very long queues, and people have come there from very early in the morning, from 5 a.m. They are queuing, and you can imagine somebody can stay there for all those hours, and he doesn't even read the desk of that officer to do just the application. When you're talking about technology and we are saying that you can do the online application, but now, is our country connected? Is the entire country connected? That is, if I say I go to Kitui in the rural, in the villages, or I go to an area in Kwale called Kiteje, where it's so remote and the connectivity is not there, are these people going to be able to do that online application? And the answer is no. So we need to ensure that we are going as per the Constitution, and also we are helping Kenyans to access those very important services, which include the birth and death registration. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Martha Wangari.
Very well. The Honorable Member for Geshugu. The Honorable Geshimu.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this very, very important bill by a member for Gilgil, Honorable Martha Wangari. And I remember it has been a long journey to reach where this bill has reached. I remember in the last parliament, the 12th parliament, Honorable Martha Wangari brought a motion which was overwhelmingly supported by all the members of parliament who were able to contribute that time. And now, that motion now has graduated into a bill. Congratulations, and you are true representatives of the people of Gilgil and the entire country, because this bill seeks to ease the accessibility of government services in terms of the provision of birth certificates and death certificates in this country. Honorable Speaker, apart from making the process of getting this document easier, it also seeks to decongest the counties or county headquarters where normally these services are usually provided, because as the previous contributor has said, there are many queues sometimes, and people have to go long distances, very tired, they queue, and at the end of the day, they might not even get these services. So, Honorable Speaker, the suggestion by the committee to amend so that now it can cover the sub-county is also very welcome, because when we leave it as it is, although Honorable Mother Wangari had already considered that aspect, that the Cabinet Secretary shall appoint at least one registration area. I think what was running in her mind was that she was not limiting it to the constituency level. So, but when it is clarified that every sub-county ought to have a registration area, then that ambiguity at least disappears. Honorable Speaker, I feel also for my constituents. I don't have a registration area within Geshogo constituency. I have a ward which neighbors Embu County, which neighbors Manyata, Embu County, and people from that area, a place called Gedore, go all the way about, okay, in some areas it might sound not too long or not a lengthy place. It's not a lengthy distance, but they cover about 40 kilometers. I know there are some areas in this country, people cover over 100 kilometers or even 200 kilometers to access these services. But, Honorable Speaker, what we need to do as members of parliament, as we also support this, because now our NGCDF committees have the mandate also to provide infrastructure for government institutions on matters of national government, then I believe this will be one of the areas that we will be oversighting our NGCDF committees at the constituency level to see that, that they've also taken into account that the government might not be able to do all the infrastructural work. And I believe NGCDF will be coming in handy to help the communities in setting up these registration areas. Honorable Speaker, I totally agree with all the members who have contributed before, and I do not wish to belabor my points. I totally support this bill, and I do pray that before we break for recess, we'll have already finished with it and read for the third time to await the presidential assent. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Joseph Cherorot, member for Kipkelion East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to support the bill brought by Honorable Mother Wangari, member of Parliament of Gilgil. I must congratulate her and congratulate the people of Gilgil for electing her a second time, and I know they will still give her a chance to represent them in this. They'll give her that time to represent people of Gilgil in this Parliament, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to say that birth certificate is a legal document. It's a very important document which can be used not only to identify an individual, but also to access services in the government. Madam Speaker, it's a document that can make us realize that, or people to realize our potential of being citizens of this country. This document has to be given out for free, Madam Speaker. And the challenge that we still have, having come a long way since 1963, almost 60 years since we attained our independence, still is this a document that is a bit difficult to access to it, Madam Speaker. The only way, Madam Speaker, as my colleagues have mentioned, is to make sure that we take these services closer to the people. Actually, it's not enough to do it at the county or at the sub-county level. It has to be taken way back even to the villages where citizens can access, and most of our children, Madam Speaker, can get registration. Madam Speaker, this will also help. Owning a birth certificate, Madam Speaker, can help us even to claim the possession of our children. At times we have those who have been doing the business of child trafficking, and I want to say that birth certificate is very important because a parent can be able even to trace her child or his child whenever there is any challenge or a problem, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this one also can help us to be able to realize or get to know about the age of a person, because the same document of birth certificate, you can use it to register your ID. Madam Speaker, the other day we had a big scandal, or a scandal, which was aired by BBC in those sides of Maimayo, Madam Speaker, whereby there was still this issue of child as sexual exploitation, which, Madam Speaker, I think it was just...
Honorable Cherot, I know that's a very sensitive matter, but because it was discussed in this House when the substantive speaker was on this seat, what is coming out is that there could be some information that is not factual.
Yes.
I think it is important that it comes out that way.
I'll apply, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I want to say that also Kenya has gone digital, Mr. Speaker, and to do this birth certificate registration can be done also online. We've talked about the Huduma Center, Madam Speaker. In my area, Madam Speaker, it's a challenge because currently we don't have Huduma Center, and I want to say that if we have several Huduma Centers at the lower level, at the grassroots, Madam Speaker, it will help us to fast track and to make sure that no child is actually left out when we are doing the registration, Madam Speaker. Again, Madam Speaker, registering our children or having the birth certificate can help our country to budget economically and to make sure that when they are doing the budget, they know the government can be able to know the population of its citizens, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to say also that the same document can help also our children, Madam Speaker, from being vulnerable, from vulnerability, Madam Speaker, because it can help to make sure that those children access education and they can also access other government services, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I want to say that I support the bill, and I want to thank Honorable Mother Wangare for bringing this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support the bill.
Thank you very much, Member for Kipkelion East. The Honorable Wilberforce Oundo, Member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also support a bill by Honorable Martha Wangari, because if I didn't, I would lose some privileges that I always get in some places. Honorable Speaker, I must say, it might also look...
What is out of order? You have withdrawn your... Okay, thank you very much for withdrawing. Proceed.
From the onset, we could look at it as a knockers amendment, proposed amendment, but it's extremely important, Honorable Speaker. I'm lucky that my constituency of Funyula has got a registration section with very hard-working men and women that facilitate. But I want to echo the sentiment raised by my colleagues that we are members of the National Assembly that represent the interests of all the people of Kenya, and therefore any bill that attempts to solve the problems of Kenya must be supported unequivocally and in wholesale. Honorable Speaker, I also want to agree with the comments by the chair of the committee that instead of talking about a constituency, let's look at the Ngao administrative unit. And I say so because I was in High Court the day some courts of High Court judges poked holes on NGCDF, arguing that a constituency is not an administrative unit, it's an electoral unit. So to avoid that ambiguity and to avoid any busybody going to court and forestalling such a progressive bill, I request Martha to agree that we move, so that we move from the word constituency, but to county or sub-county or a division, as might be outlined in the Ngao Act. Honorable Speaker, many places along the border, many counties along the border have got another unique problem. And the unique problem is this, Honorable Speaker, and I want Martha, as you proceed to prosecute this matter, you must bring this to the fore. For a child to get a birth certificate, the mother requires an ID card or some form of identification about nationality. I come from Busia, Funyula constituency generally. We have many cases of young, beautiful ladies who cross over from Uganda. They come to look for better economic prospects in Kenya and get hard-working Samia men who marry them. Unfortunately, before they lifted this blanket ban, they were never eligible to get IDs. So you'd imagine a lady presenting a birth notification without an ID, the child will not get a birth certificate. So you find that, Honorable Speaker, in Funyula constituency, about 50% of children who are in primary school are not in MEMS database because they do not have a birth certificate. Many times, we have to be ingenious to even get them registered for exams. Indeed, and that's why I wanted we go beyond the proposal here and probably look at other clauses or sections in the law to enable us probably drop some of this draconian and unreasonable documentation required for this particular aspect. So that you see, once a child is confirmed to have been born in Kenya, there is a birth notification. Regardless whether the parents have got the necessary citizenship documents, that child is a Kenyan by birth, they should be accorded all documents that allow them to naturalize their citizenship of Kenya. So that's a matter that I probably will review, will consult, and see whether we can expand the amendment here to go to matters that were not contemplated. Honorable Speaker, the other issue also I want to bring, and this I want to bring to the ladies who are here, and the mothers all over this country. There is an emerging trend that sometimes we confront when the NGCDF issues bursary application, during a bursary application. You'd find a birth certificate has got the mother's name, but the father's section has got some stars, some cancelled. So obviously, naturally, some of us cannot understand how is that possible. We normally ask questions. And the answers that we get, and this is also a matter to ponder about, that one, the expected father declined to provide the documentation to be included on the birth certificate. Honorable Mother, since you have started this journey, it's a matter you need to apply to yourself. What can we do? Because naturally, a child has got a father and a mother. Naturally. The only person who is known not to have had a father was Jesus Christ. In recorded history, I've read very many history books. I've never come across any child who came into this world without any combined effort between a male and a female. So it baffles many of us, the grandfather, so to speak, it baffles many of us that a birth certificate...
we have a point of order from the Honorable Moses Kirima. Are you raising this because of your position as a bishop or...
As a member of parliament, when we are sitting here, infringing on other people's faith, which is not right. How can he say that Jesus didn't have a father? We know that Jesus is a son of God. So that.
Thank you, Bishop, for that clarification. And let me rephrase it.
Because now we are in a house of rules. Give me a minute. No, I'll give a window of time to conclude.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So as we delve in this registration details, and as provided for in the Children's Act, as provided for in the Constitution, we must find a way to solve this conundrum, because it's very traumatizing for a child to go to school. They are requested to produce birth certificates for any reason or another. One produces a birth certificate that has two parents, another produces a birth certificate that one parent is blank. I urge you to expand your mind, delve into this matter, and help us find a way how we can solve this matter. And being a man, Honorable Speaker, many of the boy child would obviously come to me when they are suspected to be the father. So when we sit and talk to them, they say they have no certainty of being the father. There's no certainty because once the ball is in the pitch, many people knock around that ball. You don't know who will knock it last. So that's a debate we must have. How do we ascertain paternity beyond reasonable doubt so the child enjoys the constitutional right of having both the parents on their certificate? Honorable Speaker,